What's going on, everyone? Nick Corona here. Welcome to the channel. You might know me from my drone videos, but today we're going to talk a little bit about cameras. You know, Christmas is right around the corner. You might be looking for a gift for someone, or you might want to capture the moment. And I just want to give you guys my advice on where you can start if you're looking to potentially be professional, but either way, you want to get a nice camera and maybe it's your first time looking, maybe you haven't looked in a while. This is the video for you. Myself, I've been shooting professionally for the last 2 years and I have ran through tons of cameras. I absolutely love it. I'm a very techie person. I have shot architecture, which ranges from outside in the sun to, rainy days. Headshots, which is the same situation, and I've also done a lot of videography. I've done video shoots, I've done rap videos, I've done rock videos. I have examples of everything I've done over the last year, and I'm going to show that all to you guys today, as well as my recommendations. Just remember, when you're buying a camera, it's like buying a paintbrush. You don't want to get a really cheap one that leaves bristles on your project, but as long as you get one good enough, the art is in the artist. There's a certain point you hit where it just matters how good you are. So I just want to guide you guys today on the basic tools you need to bring out your inner artist and get started in photography. So first and foremost, a few things that I think do not matter when you're shopping for your first camera. Keep in mind, this is your first one. I don't think it matters if you get mirrorless or DSLR. You're going to hear a lot of hype about mirrorless, but DSLRs are still great. They're tried and proven. Save yourself the money. Start out with the DSLR. Unless you find a great mirrorless deal and you feel compelled, trust me, the DSLRs will blow your mind in quality. People aren't probably going to be able to tell just by looking at your footage. That's going to depend on you a little bit and how good you are at shooting. The second thing, I wouldn't worry about things like ISO range. Paying more for features like ISO range. That's basically artificial lightning. All cameras have it. New ones just do better in low light and look better. But once again, I think that by starting out with a base camera, it's going to force you how to learn to really work those settings and get good at photography and videography without the help of just going into automatic mode every time. The next thing that I think you don't need to worry about is HDR, high dynamic range. All these cameras are ridiculous. You don't need to pay an arm and a leg for the absolute best thing on the market. HDR is essentially the range of your camera. The best way to describe it is if you're using your selfie camera on your phone and you have it focused on your face, it's like, can you see the blue sky behind you, or is it just white? That's the dynamic range. How much can a camera capture light and dark? The final thing that I think you don't really need to worry about is whether or not it's a full frame or crop sensor camera. And this is almost always one of the first things that you get asked by, maybe someone at Best Buy or someone really into cameras is, do you care if it's full frame or crop sensor? To explain this as easy as possible, full frame is more expensive. Crop sensors were made to save money, and basically the negative impact of that, which I don't really think is negative because you don't really lose quality with it. Keep that in mind. It magnifies everything. So your 24 millimeter lens becomes a 50 millimeter with the magnification when you put it on a crop sensor body. So it does that with everything across the board though. So when you're starting out or when it's your camera, it just doesn't matter to you. You just use the right focal length. But it's something to keep in mind. I like crop sensor myself. I don't see anything wrong with it, and I'm used to it. It's really just a preference. So full frame crop sensor, don't worry about it. Now there's a few must-haves. This first one is really basic, and I'm pretty sure every camera is going to have it, but you have to have image stabilization at least as an option. I have lenses that don't have it, with my Canon camera, so I have to use lenses that have it, in the lens. So you just want to make sure that you have some sort of image stabilization. Like, don't go buy someone a camera that has, like a Canon, they don't have it in body at all, meaning if they have image stabilization to help with the shake, it's going to be in the lens every time. The kit lens comes with it. Kit meaning when you just buy the camera with the lens they include, it comes with that. But we'll get more into the lenses further in the video. The second thing that's another pretty obvious one is SD memory. You want your camera to have SD removable memory. You're not going to have something better than that because you're starting out. If the camera doesn't have removable energy, get out of the little kid toy aisle and go over to the camera aisle and get the ones with removable memory. The next thing, and this one's actually super important to me, you can always sell your equipment, but I think it's important to invest in a camera that has a good path to glass. So you really want to think about what you want to invest in the future potentially. So glass is going to be your main investment if you or whoever you're buying this for gets into photography. We're going to talk about some cheap starter lenses today that will get you through, and like I said, it's like a paintbrush, so it'll totally do it for you. But in the long run, glass is your main investment. Almost every lens you have on a professional level is probably going to be worth the same or more than your camera body. So when you have a bunch of lenses, it gets really expensive. So that's another reason why I like Canon. Sony also has really great glass. So does Nikon. I would be a little suspect if I went outside those three brands and do my research. I don't really recommend it. The next thing I recommend is flash. And this might sound like, well, duh, but actually, going back to the full frame crop sensor thing, most full frame cameras don't have flash for whatever reason, whereas crop sensors do. So usually the crop sensor, cheaper beginner cameras have a flash. I almost never use it, but you kind of need it. It's good to have in emergency situations, especially when you're starting out. If you get a job and it's just too dark and you don't know how to shoot in the dark, or it's just not working out, or you just can't get it, sometimes you need flash. So it's really nice just having it on the camera. You know, you don't have to actually buy a flash and learn. It's just, that's not a beginner move. Don't do it. Those are the most, or actually, I'm sorry, I do have notes here because I wanted to make sure I nailed as many things as possible for you guys. And I saved the best must-have for last. And this reason is actually going to lead into this camera here. Now, what's sitting here is a Canon T7i, a Canon EOS T7i Rebel, part of the Canon Rebel line. So famous for a long time. I remember hearing about that before I ever got into photography, just hearing Canon Rebel, you know, Sony Cybershot, all those kinds of words. But this camera I bought as a kit, and I'm sorry, before I get into that, the final must-have for me for any beginner, and the most important thing I'm going to recommend for you to make sure they have in the camera you're getting for them, or once again, if you're getting a camera for yourself, is this flip out screen. It's huge. And people tease when, you know, people buy cameras for this, but let me just say, what good is the quality of your camera if you don't get the shot? I mean, that's just worth nothing. You've got to get the shot. You need a screen, especially when you're starting out, especially if you're planning on being a vlogger and doing this in public and stuff. You got to see yourself. You know, and if you don't have this, there are screens you can plug in, but I mean, that's like a whole separate screen that, you know, it might be good for at home use, but that's, you know, that's about it. It's not something you're really going to use for like vlogging. So, you know, it really depends on your uses. And, you know, keep in mind, my uses are well-rounded. I do photography, I do videography, I shoot buildings, people, cars, everything. And that's one of the reasons why I'm going to recommend the Canon T6i. And you might even see the T7i now. It's just a slightly better version of this in every way. They're really comparable. I was actually looking and had a hard time finding the T6Is. I want to talk to you guys about why I love this camera so much. One of my favorite things to do is always have my camera with me, always be shooting. And this is the best one-handed camera I have ever used. You hold this bad boy with your right hand and you can control 95% of the functionality. Literally, there's 3 buttons I can't reach, or maybe 4, didn't even know that one was there, but they're very unused buttons. Just by holding this camera with one hand, I can turn it on, I can go into video mode, I can cycle through every mode, I can touch every shortcut button, I can go through the menu even while I'm driving. I'll be in my car, grab this, turn it on, snap a few shots over the arm, shut it off with one hand, stick it away. It's incredible. I think this will probably always just be in my car or something. It's like my quick draw camera. I really love that about it. And then, having the screen, that's just icing on the cake. It has really cheap batteries, so you can buy replaceable. I like to just get the off-brand ones because you can just get a bunch. And from my experience, the off-brand ones from Best Buy last just as long as the Canon ones. And the Canon ones are so expensive. This camera has face tracking autofocus, so if they're doing video stuff, it's going to do a decent job of keeping focus on their face automatically, which is great for, someone who's doing auditions maybe, or if you're shooting, anything with people moving around. It does a good job. The next thing, and the reason why I recommend this particular Canon over like a Nikon or a Sony is because Canon is just known to have the best out of camera colors. So as a new photographer or videographer, it's going to require the least amount of color correction, which is really going to help you, slowly ease into that and start learning how to color correct, versus if you just had something that required an extreme change. So this particular camera, I got it in a kit. I paid $600 for it. I think it was $650. I had a really hard time finding it. I actually only could find like someone selling an old one for $1,000, and it's all T7i's now for $700. I will point out, I have seen this exact camera, the EOS T6i Rebel, for just $500 for just the body. So if you want to spend $650, what do you get? Well, it comes with this Rode shotgun mic, and it comes with this kit lens, which is at 18 to 35. It's an okay deal. It's a cool gift for a beginner. I would say go for it, but I'm also going to say it's not really my recommendation for the perfect combo for a few short reasons. One of them being, this microphone sucks. I hate it. This is the Rode shotgun mic. It's very popular. I'm sure you've seen it before. The first time I got one, it sucked so bad that I returned it the next day and got another one and realized they just suck that bad. So I come from a background of audio engineering, and I care about the audio, and this microphone makes a hiss. If you're in a completely silent room, any camera you plug it into, it just has a hiss. I don't know what the deal is with it. I hate it. Also, this microphone picks up a lot of sound from directly behind it, which is another poor characteristic of a shotgun microphone. And I just all around don't recommend it. If you want to go buy this microphone, it's $70. So yeah, it works. It's better than the internal microphone on the cameras. This lens is a 18 to 55. It's good. It's good if you're really looking for budget. Get the kit, because the lens is good. The microphone's better than what it comes with, right? And you can upgrade these lenses, and you can upgrade the microphones. I'm going to put a kit together for you guys with my exact recommendations, though, which is going to be this body, which, like I said, is $500, It's been out for a long time. I would not be surprised if you found a deal on it. But I want to talk to you guys first of all about better microphone options. Instead of spending $70 on a Rode shotgun mic, first of all, I went and bought the Rode Pro mic, which is $250. And the reason I returned it is because I bought this Trackstar mic for $22 on Amazon, and it crushed the Rode Pro. It's this powered mic right here. Like I said, $22, guys. That is insanely cheap. And it is a huge, not like obnoxiously huge for what it is, but it's a powered microphone. And this thing does an amazing job. I scooted the hot shoe back a little bit so that it wouldn't, the thing I like about it is that you can do that with this, so that I can put my eye up to it without it hitting on my head, which is another stupid thing of the Rode shotgun mic. It freaking hits your eye. Like, you have to do video once you put that on. I hate it. So that's another reason I love the Trackstar mic. I will say though, my biggest complaint with powered mics is if you're doing a really loud venue, like shooting front row at a concert, it's just too sensitive. And I have had stuff ruined because I get home and it's nothing but peaks, it's nothing but fuzz, and it's terrible. So I just kept testing microphones, and a lot of you have seen this guy. This is the Rode Micro, and this one has a big old fuzzy on it to keep all the sound out. Or sorry, to keep all the wind away. But this bad boy is $40 and just crushes. It sounds good. It blocks a lot of noise from the back. It can handle being at front row at a concert and not just sounding terrible. It doesn't need batteries, which is another negative of using like this, is if you forget to turn it on, you will get no audio, which you will do. You'll do it. If you go buy a powered mic, if you buy this one for $22, or if you go buy the Rode Pro for $250, you are going to wish you spent $40 and bought the mic that never needs batteries and doesn't have a power switch, because you're going to miss something one day. It's just going to happen, because you've got to constantly remember to turn this off and on. Every time you're like, oh, I'm going to do video, boop, turn it on. Well, what if you're taking photos, just switch to video, forget to turn it on, no audio. And why do you have to keep turning it on and off? Because if you just leave it on, it'll die. I mean, they're supposed to last like 100 hours. So, I mean, if you want to just replace batteries all the time and leave it on, I don't know. That's me. If audio matters that much to you, you should be using like a better microphone anyways and doing post-production. So for on camera, I recommend this. Now, I mentioned I wasn't a big fan of the lens it comes with. It comes with this 18 to 55, which is a nice range for starting out. That's 18 millimeters is, you can be really close with that. 55, that's a medium range. However, for $329, you can get two super epic lenses. The first one, the more expensive one, is going to be the 10 to 18. Now, a 10 to 18, a 10 is wide. A 10 is like as wide as you can be without being a fisheye. So this is a favorite lens for a lot of like, you know, vloggers, YouTubers, people who want to have the camera like this close to their face. I've found it's really good for capturing a lot, but I don't really enjoy the sharpness of it. Let's see what f-stop this is. This is a 10-18, 4.5 to 5.6. So the f-stop, essentially, the higher the number is, the more everything's going to be in focus. But you also kind of lose a certain sharpness, you know, or the blur in the background. It's really nice to have though if you're traveling. You know, you want to get a nice wide landscape. This is a great lens. You know, if I'm being completely honest though, I don't use this lens a ton. but some people would. Some people, this would be their main lens. The second thing is it comes with the legendary 50mm lens. It's just legendary because it looks so great. It's so crisp. It has a 1.8 aperture, which means it's just incredible in low light. This is one of the most recommended lenses. However, I ran into a really big problem, and that is that I have the crop sensor camera like we talked about, and this is the most recommended lens. So most recommended for full frame cameras. So that means what's 50 to them is like 150 to me, millimeters zoomed in. And this is what's called a prime lens. That means it doesn't, this is a 10 to 18, it has zoom. This is a 18 to 55, it has zoom. This is a prime, it has less moving parts in it and no zoom. I love primes. I think they look great. You're watching a 50mm prime right now, but on a full sensor camera. So I found it just to always be too close. And that's when I found the absolute perfect lens. I love it. This is my favorite lens. Here's the box for it. 24mm 2.8. This lens does not have stabilization, which means it's cheap, but it's a prime, so it looks good. This kind of means great for photos, and if you're doing video, you just need to have it on a tripod or on a gimbal, because this is no image stabilization at this point, which I will point out is directly against what I said you must have. So make sure that you don't just buy someone a prime lens, which is why this is a great kit, because they can experience prime lens and they can experience an image stabilized lens that they can vlog with, and then whip out the 50 and get your cool close-up shots. It's a great combo. If you're gonna start vlogging, I would do that. I would not get the kit lens, and I would get these two lenses, and I would get the micro. Bam, that's the kit. You'll be good for a long time. You'll be good until you're ready to invest in the most expensive cameras available. But I will say, I have a favorite lens. I have a bunch of lenses, but this lens that I just showed you, the 24mm, now this is a separate lens. This lens is only $130, and like I said, by far my favorite. I am pulling it out of my pocket right now. This is how big it is with the cap on it. This lens looks so amazing. I have shot multiple music videos with just this lens. Like, literally was able to do every single scene, every lighting situation with this lens. It is incredible. It is ugly. When you open it up, it has the littlest little hole in the middle. It looks so weird. I hated it at first because it just weirded me out, but there are so many pros to it. And like I told you guys, I like to be whipping my camera out and shooting. So when you put this lens on it, look at this. Look how small it makes the camera. I mean, for a DSLR, that is, come on guys, that's really small. So I enjoy it. So I'll definitely put some links below if you guys want to check out the videos I shot with this. Also, I'll make sure to put some photos throughout. So yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you picked something up from this today. I hope you get the camera you've been looking for, or get that person the ultimate gift. Just remember, guys, the art is in the artist, not the brush. Thanks for watching.